feeling that tension and getting used to that swing and kind of letting the bait pull itself back out. That's probably one of the key parts of it. If you get, if you're holding too much, you're gonna slow the bait down and not allow it to go the distance it should, as well as create the bait, coming way up, and it's gonna make a bigger splash that way. Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel, and we are going through different types of casts, the application for them, and really just showing why as an angler you need to be proficient in multiple different types of casts, as well as in both hands, for some of these casts especially. Today, I'm going to go through flipping, okay? Pitching and flipping are techniques that I feel like some people see as interchangeable, but I absolutely think that they have different places and times. With pitching, the nice thing with it is I reel the bait in every time. So the one target I pitch at may be 10 feet away, the next target may be 30 feet away, and I'm able to use the same technique for both of those. The problem with that is I am having to reel the bait in each time and then make a full presentation. Flipping, like what we're going to talk about today, is a very, very fast way to hit multiple targets quickly, because you actually don't use the reel for hardly anything once you've made that first pitch. You're going to make your first one as a pitch, but then after that is really when the flipping part of it kind of takes over. So flipping definitely has a little bit different application for me. Personally, the time I see myself using it the most is when I'm bed fishing. We don't fish a lot of places where I just go down the bank flipping. Fish a lot of times, when I'm sight fishing, I may have my talons down, I'm sitting still, and I'm making a presentation to the very same place time and time and time again to try to get that fish aggravated in the bite. And speed is a big part of that. If I throw the bait in there, fish it through the bed, and then I reel it in and then make the next pitch, the bait is out of the bed 5 seconds, 10 seconds maybe. If I'm flipping, I'll fish the bait through the bed, pull the line in, swing the bait right back in there. It's back in there in only a couple seconds. Doesn't sound like a big difference, but when you're trying to agitate a fish into biting, having that very quick time getting that bait right back in there on that fish can definitely make that fish bite a lot quicker. So just kind of one of the applications that I see myself using it more than anything else would certainly be with bed fishing. The other time, I think of like flipping grass. A lot of times you may be on a hard grass edge, maybe it's reeds, maybe it's, matted grass or something where it's in a straight line. You're going to keep the boat at an equal distance from it all the time. And so your presentations are always the same length. And so you're not varying much with that. Maybe the water's the same depth, you're the same distance away from it. And so boom, 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 you just work down that line flipping, and you're really, really more efficient in that way than you would be pitching. So what is flipping? So like I mentioned, the first kind of when you're getting started, you've pulled up to a line of reeds and you're going to start flipping down through here. So the first time you've got the bait, you've just unhooked it from the rod and reel, so it's here. So you're going to make that pitch out there, to where your target is. Make sure you've got enough line out. You're going to fish that spot. And this is a deal where you typically aren't using the reel. You've flipped it in there. You're fishing a place that's a foot or maybe 2 foot. You've worked the bait. Now you're going to take your off hand. So I pretty much do this rod in the left, and then everything else I work is in the right hand, or with my right hand. So take your line, and I'll take 2, 3 fingers, whatever, kind of whatever you're most comfortable with. Take a couple fingers and pull that line back like a bow. And while you're doing that, you're gonna move the rod. You're gonna kind of keep the rod up. Try not to do what I just did. This is one of the hazards of flipping if you're not doing it in a controlled way. So I was trying to do it and talk, and that is what happened. There we go. Okay, let's start over. So we're gonna have that line out there, kind of at the distance of where we're wanting to be. And this is, like I mentioned, this is something I'm not gonna fish the bait 5 or 6 feet if I'm flipping. I'm fishing it at the target, right where I'm at. I'm gonna pull the line with my hand while dropping the rod, and then I raise the rod to give it that momentum back out. And you kind of feed that line back to it. You don't just throw slack. You don't just throw all your slack back at it, because if you just throw all your slack when you raise the rod, the bait's going to fall and hit the water. You really kind of have to feed that line back out to it as the bait goes, kind of letting the bait pull the line back out of your hand in that way. But you can see the nice thing with it is that it is very quick. I mean, the bait's there, it's out of the water, right back in the water. You know, so it's only a couple seconds. Imagine that being a fish on a bed. You fished for it, you've got it mad, you've got it a little bit agitated, but you've went past that sweet spot, you're out, you're right back in on top of its head, you know, trying to aggravate that fish into biting again. That's why this is so effective when you're fishing for bed fish. But again, it's taking 2 or 3 fingers, whatever you're most comfortable with there, pulling that line out, drop the rod, swing it up, get that momentum, and allow the bait to pull the line back out as the bait's swinging away from you. That feeling that tension and getting used to that swing and kind of letting the bait pull itself back out, that's probably one of the key parts of it. If you get, you know, if you're holding too much, you're gonna slow the bait down and not allow it to go the distance it should, as well as create the bait, you know, coming way up, and it's going to make a bigger splash that way. I'm trying to do this in a manner to where the bait's staying low to the water, just a few inches above it, because I'm not trying to skip. I just want the bait low, and then I can just drop it in there at the last second with the rod and the line. So swing it up, you just kind of set it down with the rod and the line all in one fluid motion there. So for me, most of my flipping is done on the same rod or rods that I do pitching with, usually 7.5 foot, and that Bass Pro Platinum heavy action rod is what I do a lot of flipping with. I will use a 7 foot, you know, medium heavy or heavy rod on occasion for that if it's a little bit more open water, you know, lighter cover type stuff. But if I'm flipping and really heavy cover, that 7.6 heavy, that's the rod and reel rod that I go with. And again, this is a situation I use that high speed reel because most of the fishing I'm doing, you know, I'm doing it with the rod and I'm not using the reel. The reel's just sitting there until I get a bite, and then obviously I'm gonna set the hook, and I want that high speed reel to be able to take up slack quick within that point in time. Or also I may, you know, the next one may be a pitch. So I may be flipping down a line of stuff, flipping down through here, you know, fishing different targets, and then I get to something that's quite a bit further away I need to reel in, and the next one needs to go from a pitch or to a pitch. So these two definitely work interchangeable, and I'll use one alongside the other. You know, I see myself doing that a lot of times in a situation out there on the water. So and I got wrapped around the boat trailer. But yeah, so that's the reason for a high speed reel on this, is because I'll go from flipping to pitching or pitching to flipping just on a moment's notice, you know, as I'm kind of working down a line of stuff. But hope you've enjoyed learning a little bit about flipping. I got hung up again. Hope you've enjoyed a little bit about flipping and kind of some of the mechanics. And this is a great one to practice indoors. You know, get up on a little bit of an elevated platform, get yourself just about a foot or foot and a half up off of the floor. And this is an excellent one to work on that hand-eye coordination in the off season, and you know, really help yourself. This is, I could sit here and do this all day to set up different targets and stuff. It's something I certainly enjoy doing. At the Bass Pro Shops World Fishing Fair, we had a casting competition, and I take quite a bit of pride in the fact that I came in second to Jimmy Houston in that whole deal. There were some excellent guys, excellent casters, guys that I really respect in that. Thankfully, I didn't have to cast against Andy Montgomery, but some guys that I really respect were in that casting competition. Jimmy had won it 30 years ago, or whenever the previous World's Fishing Fair was with Bass Pro Shops, and so he was the defending champion. I took all the other guys down, and then he and I went head to head in the finals, and he edged me out just by a little bit. So that's okay. I'm all right with coming in second to Jimmy Houston in a casting competition. So that was a lot of fun. But part of that was a flipping deal, and I racked up some points on that flipping segment. So hope you all have enjoyed this, and get out there this off season, practice your casting, and I know it will help you when you're out there on the water this year.